Hello friends, I am Dr. Bhavin Chauhan from Department of Education, the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, Gujarat. Welcome to this lecture on emotional intelligence for teachers. Teachers. Well, what is the definition of teaching? Well, for me, to teach is to touch the life forever. Whenever somebody contact us, they be with us, there should be some change, there should be some touching to their heart and minds. That is what I believe. Well, this is a very sublime goal, and to achieve this goal, we need to do something than normal. What exactly we need to do? Well, we need to have 4 things to have this sublime goal achieved. To achieve this sublime goal, to touch the heart and mind for the learners, we need to have 4 abilities, or we can say skills. The first is expertise in content. Whatever we are going to teach, it should be prepared, it should be expertise first. Suppose I am a teacher of English, at least I should know all the basic fundas of my own subject. Then only I am capable, or I am deserve to be in the classroom in front of them. Next is to expertise in pedagogy. Expertise in pedagogy means what? That you know the content, but now it is time that you should know how to transact that content also. And for that, you need some expertise in the science of teaching, how to teach. Third thing is expertise in communication skills. I have seen many teachers, and I'm sure you must have also seen many teachers. These teachers are having excellent skills. They have wonderful content knowledge. They are looking like just walking encyclopedia. But unfortunately, whenever they start speaking to the learners start yawning. Why these things happen? Well, these things happen because the lack of expertise in communication skills. Communication skills is here that the art of expertising, the art of telling your message in such a manner that learner would like to receive. And the last and most important thing that many are missing in teaching curriculum, and that is care, concern and commitment for the learners. Well, learning is an emotional business. Please remember. That's why teaching is also one of the emotional profession. Learning is associated with emotions. Concern for learner calls for emotional intelligence. Now, what is emotional intelligence? Well, emotional intelligence is something that you emotionally intelligent to handle your emotions intelligently. That means you are able to manage your emotions. That means you are able to handle your emotions. You are able to adapt to the situations, and you are able to manage or somewhat adapt to the emotions of the other also, and that is called emotional intelligence. It calls for personal effectiveness, as well it is called for social awareness also. Please remember, emotional intelligence is a skill which requires a lifelong pursuit. That means we need to work hard to develop that skill, and this skill is something which is always looking for some new dimension to open. So definitely it will take time to develop it, and after that to master it, it will take time, and to practice that thing is a lifelong issue. In one of the seminars, somebody told me that how long we need to practice emotional intelligence. I said only one thing, that it is just like a brushing every day, right? Every day you need to take brush and you have to do it. If you don't do it, your mouth starts stinking. Same here with emotional intelligence. It's a kind of a practice, it's a kind of meditation. Every day we have to behave intelligently with our emotions, so that we don't start sinking in society. We don't start sinking to our own self. And that is emotional intelligence. In other words, emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize your own emotion, understand what others are telling you, and realize how your emotions affect people as well as you. And that is called 3 ingredients of emotional intelligence, right? Again, I'm repeating: recognizing your emotions, understand what others are telling you, and realize how emotions are affecting people as well as you. Combiningly, these three things called emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a confluence of developed ability to know and value yourself, build and maintain healthy and productive relationship with others, get along and work well for positive result, and daily effectively deal with the pressures and problems of daily life and work. All these qualities are achieved with the help of emotional intelligence. If you have high emotional intelligence, you are able to recognize your own emotional state as well as the emotional state of others. You will engage with the people in a way that draw them to you and you to them. You can also understand the feelings and emotions of the other people, form healthier relationship with them, and lead a fulfilling life. So ultimately, emotional intelligence is a boon in general and for teachers in particular. People with high emotional intelligence are usually successful people. They are always successful or mostly successful in the things they do. You know why? Because they are good at making others feel good. They are having the capacity to make people feel good compared to those who are easily angered or upset by the situation. People with high emotional intelligence are able to recognize their own emotional state as well as the emotional state of others. Now, this is the added advantage. Apart from that, they are able to engage in a way that people draw to them and they draw to people, and that develops the healthy relationship. Apart from that, they are able to understand the emotions in such a way so that they relate with the people better, develop healthy relationship, and handle the stress as well as other things. In short, people with high emotional intelligence live a wonderful, productive, fulfilling life. And that is all the dream of us. What is exactly we want in life? Only two things: peace and happiness. And for these two things, we have been working throughout the day and throughout the life, and emotional intelligence can be helpful for that. Let us try to explore this concept more. People with high emotional intelligence are usually successful in most of the things they do. You know the reason? Reason is very simple. They are good at making people feel good, and that is the crux of relationship building techniques. If you make people feel good, they are always around you. This is the added advantage than those people who are easily upset and easily angered. So please remember, emotional intelligence is a boon that we need to develop. Emotional intelligence is a subject which is popularized a lot. Throughout the world, people have studied, throughout the world, people have applied, and throughout the world, people have got the benefit of it. But this subject was popularized by the book Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman in 1995. Daniel Goleman has given 5 components of emotional intelligence, and these components are self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Combining these 5 elements becomes the emotional intelligence. Mastering that particular skill can change your life. Let us see all these components one by one. Self-awareness. What is self-awareness? Self-awareness means being alert about your own emotions and your own feelings. People with high emotional intelligence understand their own emotions. They don't let their feelings rule them. They don't let their emotion get out of control. They recognize their own emotion, and they also understand how they affect their own thought and their own feelings. They know their own strengths and weaknesses also. So by being self-aware, they try to achieve control on their own self. That is called self-awareness. The second point is self-regulation. People with high emotional intelligence are having the ability to control their emotions and their impulses. These people are not impulsive and careless decision makers. They think before they act. They are thoughtful, open to change, flexible, and assertive. They are able to manage their emotions in a healthy way. They take initiatives, they follow through their own commitments, and they adapt. That is the most important thing. They adapt to the changing circumstances rather than being stubborn to something. The third point is motivation. People with high emotional degree of intelligence are usually people who are really able to do so many things. They are able to delay their own gratification. They are able to put off the immediate effect or the result for a long time success. These people really understand the concept of two things. The one is long-term peace and short-term success. They are ready to sacrifice short-term happiness and short-term success for long-term peace and happiness. So they are having the ability, or they have the motivation to do the things in a right manner, and they are able to control their own gratification, their own indulgence, their own desires. They are highly productive, they love challenges, and they are very effective in whatever they do. Emotional intelligence is really important because it really motivates the person. You see, a person is motivated. How that person is motivated? Because he is able to control his own emotion, and he has the ability to delay his own gratification, and that is what the whole crux of emotional intelligence. The next point is empathy. What is empathy? Empathy means the ability to identify and understand the wants and needs and viewpoints of others around us. Empathy with the people is something that is one of the most sought after ability or skill that people are looking in relationship. Those people who are good at empathy are good at recognizing the feelings of other and are able to understand the point from their own perspectives. They avoid stereotyping and judging other too quickly. They live their life with open, honest, and flexible way. People with high AI also have the high level of empathy. Next point is social skill, which is one of the most important things. See, we need to understand that future will be governed by AI, that is artificial intelligence and robotics. So at that time, most of the works will be done automatically with the help of programmings only and codings only. So we as teachers need to understand that developing social skills is the most important thing as a person, as an individual, for us personally also, and the same thing if we imbibe in teachers as well as students, it is also important. What is social skills here, right? So they are very good at developing relationship, and they are able to shine among the group. That is called social skills. They are able to manage dispute. They are excellent communicator. They are mastering and maintaining a relationship. They understand the emotions, needs, and concerns of other, and they also pick up emotional cues and make people feel comfortable socially, and they understand the power dynamics in the group and organization also, and that is what make them socially, emotionally expert in society. Teachers who model the high level of emotional intelligence are having the characteristics as follow. First, they have intentional reflective behavior, not reactive. So please remember, reflective, not reactive. Second, they are more flexible, not resistant to change. So they are more adaptive. Third is they follow assertive communication, not aggressive or passive communication, but assertive communication. They are more optimistic and hopeful than pessimistic and negative. They rely on skills and positive habit rather than reactive or bad habits. So these are the characteristics of teachers with high emotional intelligence, and they demonstrate and exhibit their own skills in the classroom from time to time, and students imbibe this quality from them. Emotionally intelligent teachers reflect the healthy behavior in his own thinking, identifying, managing, and experiencing his own feelings, and choosing the effective behavior. See, choosing the right behavior at right time is very important. And many a time we know that we need to do this, but we are not able to do this. Why? Because we are not able to manage our own emotion. We know certain things, but we are not able to control it. That calls for emotional intelligence. Please remember that emotional intelligence or becoming the emotional intelligent teacher is a journey. It is not a destination, it's a process. There is not at all any arrival state here, or there is no end result here, right? What is here? That's a process for a lifetime. As we have discussed earlier, it's a lifelong pursuit, lifelong learning journey. So please be patient when you are not able to get result immediately while applying these skills. Emotional intelligent teachers are active in their orientation with the students' work and life. These people are very active. See, once you are able to manage your own emotions, once you are able to control your own emotion, once you are able to regulate your own emotions, definitely you are going to have a control over your life, and you will be productive and active, and you will be successful, which is very common sense. They are resilient in response to negative stress. See, teaching life is something that we can not say that much stressful, but many a times certain works really made us stressful. Emotional intelligent teachers do not surrender to emotional negative stress. They are less likely to overwhelm by the situations or pessimism. They always uphold the optimistic outlook of the person or the situation or the society, and that is what the key belief that we need to handle, that emotional intelligent person always be optimistic. Many a time I was asked this question by many students, that why the emotional intelligence is very important to you, and I give the answer which is very common and it is very popular on internet, that we are monkeys with the smartphones. Our emotions are not in control. Technological advances has really made the life easier for us, but our basic instincts are the same in the one. We are quite intelligent, sophisticated. At the same time, we are also quite primal. We are also sometimes react without thinking, and that has become the obstacle for success. And that is why it is very important that we should develop a kind of a skill which control our emotions, which regulate our emotions, which really give the idea to how to develop a relationship with others, as well as how to relationship with others, right, as well as with us. You may ask this question, that why do we need emotional intelligence? Well, we need emotional intelligence because the current teaching scenario is mixed with positive and negative tone, both. Many teachers believe that they are hired to teach the subject, but to develop the interest in that subject is not their duty. Now, this kind of irrational attitude is really harmful to the students, as well as the whole process of learning and teaching, as well as the philosophy of teaching also. And all this thinking of too much rationality has come from the 17th century philosopher named Rene Descartes. In 17th century, he gave the doctrine that I think, therefore I am. And from that perspective to today also, people believe that learning is a rational activity. It is a rational activity, but some point are also emotional. Please remember that. For decision making, emotions plays a vital role. There is a book called Descartes' Error. Kindly observe that book. In that particular book, Antonio, the author Antonio, has given a wonderful description that how emotions are really important for rational processes. Rational processes are also required to have emotional support. Without that, there is no way you can have a complete and right decision. So, according to Antonio, in the book Descartes' Error, emotions and rationality are inseparable. They are somewhat connected in every angle of life, and that need to be remembered. When we observe our own situation, our own country, when we observe teacher education, teacher training institution and their curriculum, we come to know that they are focusing on two things mostly. The one, that is pedagogy, and second is subject expertise. but we also need to understand that along with the subject expertise and the knowledge of best practices, if we add emotional intelligence, it also complements their teaching and really solve a lot of problems what they are facing in the classroom. When we apply emotional intelligence in a proper manner, so many benefits that we can get it. You solve the problems of your discipline, you can tackle the discipline very well, you can handle the emotion of the students very well, dropout ratio and your popularity is also can be increased, dropout ratio will be decreased, classroom learning will be more lively and quite engaging. Overall, your popularity will going to give you a boost for better work. So you are going to do more work in a better manner, and ultimately it will help you to increase your own emotional well-being as a teacher. So these are the benefits of emotional intelligence applied in the classroom. It really helps you to solve a lot of problems which we are not able to solve in a rational way. When we connect to them, when we provide experience to them, we create a kind of atmosphere for them, such atmosphere where they like to come and like to learn. And that is what the whole emotional crux is. See, we need to understand one thing. In 18th century, 19th century, in 20th century, information was the king. Information was stolen, information was hidden, information was passed secretly. But now, with the age of AI and Google, information is of least important, because whatever we are going to teach in the classroom will be available on internet in better format. So point here is that the students in higher classes are not coming to us for information, they are coming to us for experiences. Earlier, information was the king, but now experience is the queen. So we need to understand that how to provide better experience in the classroom is something that we should focus on, and emotional intelligence is really helpful to do that. So it is something that we must develop. You may argue that also that I have been practicing emotional intelligence, but I have not naming it as emotional intelligence, but I am taking care and concern for my students. Well, you're right. You are taking care, but now we need to have deliberate practice. Earlier, you used to have intuitive practice. You have been doing, definitely, but you have been doing intuitively, but now we have to do it deliberately, which requires more skill, more efforts on our part. So we need to understand one thing: content, method and AI, that is emotional intelligence, combining three things really create teaching as effective. What is effective here? Effective means something that delivers result. In a nutshell, we need to remember that if we really want to be effective teacher, we must know that how to be alert at our own feeling. We must know how to be able to manage our own feeling. We must also know that how to use our feelings as well as emotion to achieve our own goal, as well as how to tune with the situations of other, and how to use our own emotion and how to handle our own emotion in social interaction as well as classroom interaction. These combining skill is called emotional intelligence in nutshell. And all these things we are doing, but now we need to focus more and with a specific input on each item at place. Hundreds of researches have demonstrated on teacher effectiveness that students really appreciate, want to learn, want to be receptive and want to really add into themselves by the teachers who are demonstrating the following qualities. First, the teacher always behave effectively then rationally. Second, they recognize student as individual, not as somebody who just come for knowledge. They also knowing the student's name. Please remember, this is one of the most important technique if you really want to develop relationship with your student, that remember their names. You may say that in higher classes it is difficult to remember the names because in our classes we have more than 100 students sometimes. Definitely. But still, if you really try to use certain names or try to remember the names with some deliberate practices, then definitely you can have and you can remember the names. See, it requires some practice, right? For the whole semester, some students are coming to us. Are we not able to remember their names? Maybe we are poor at remembering the names, but with certain efforts we can do this. As I told you, we require to shift our priority. The priority shifts and we will remember the name. Next is showing the respect to students. Students are not just the empty vessels who comes for knowledge from us, and we are not sitting on a high platform from where we are going to deliver the knowledge. No. Being friendly and listening to them is also important. Please remember, classroom is a situation, learning is a situation that sometimes gets tense. So sharing humor in the subject is equally important. And these kind of teachers are valued very highly. Students like those teachers more who try to disclose their own information. That means when you go for self-disclosure, they like you more. But here we used to use our own emotional intelligence as well as rationality, that how much information we need to pass on to them. The most important thing that rated highly in the university classrooms are the showing the enthusiasm for the subject and for the student. If you show in your behavior the enthusiasm for the subject and showing interest in learner, combiningly really create transformative experiences for the students. And these are the standard research which really proves that when you apply emotional intelligence in these manners, then definitely you will have a wonderful result. And please remember, I can change, you can change, we can change. Change is possible. To understand AI, we need to remember one thing, that the whole concept of AI is required to understand the sub-skills that we required or we need to achieve for betterment. As we have discussed earlier, that teaching requires subject expertise, knowledge as teachers or skills as teacher, and third is emotional intelligent attributes. Combining these three things, we become the effective teacher. Now let's look at what are the sub-skills we require in each of three domains. The first is expertise. If you really want to become expert in a subject, you need to be knowledgeable, authoritative, resourceful, experienced, always updated. Please remember, you need to be always updated, because in today's world, if we are not updated, we are outdated. So, being resourceful and being updated is a key quality. It is also expected from you by the student that you have the answers for their own query on the topic which you are teaching. So these are the things that we require to become the expert on the subject. Now let's go to the skills of teaching. As teachers, we are expected to have well-organized material, well-organized lesson planning, and well-organized lecture delivery. Apart from that thing, we also require to manage our time in a proper manner. We also need to provide useful feedback to the students. It should not be a one way, it should be two way. Please remember. So useful feedback need to be given by responding to their need, responding to their questions, responding to their answers that way. Good use of material and teaching aids, and good use of technology also. Clear speaking, that is the most important thing. Many people are not good at communication skills. I don't know why, but this is something which is not at all much focused in our own arena. People become lecturer, they go to higher positions, they retired also, but throughout their life, I have seen that they lack this particular quality of communication skills. This is something that we must passionate about, right? See, we are getting money to speak. And when we are getting money to speak, we should speak properly, we should speak effectively, we should speak with enthusiasm and with certain level of expertise. And if these things are not done properly, you call for a training. You require training. Please remember. Clear direction for the course is also expected from the by the student from the teacher. Please remember that. The experienced teacher provide relevant, interesting and challenging activity to the students. See, students don't want to have a lectures all the time, so certain activity need to be mixed with to give them. And finally, they are looking for good material from teacher to read more, to imbibe more. So these are the skill set we require to become expert as a teacher. So the first was subject expertise. Now we have seen the skill of teachers. Now let us go for the third part. As teacher, you should be approachable. That means students should not feel threatened to meet you, threatened to come to your room, to your office. You should have acceptancy. That means you should have the you should expect the acceptancy from the student, as well as you should have learned to accept your own mistakes and your own shortcomings also. You should be always a good listener and always optimistic and positive. You should demonstrate empathy, as well as you should maintain the eye contact. See, eye contact is a sign of respect. People really don't understand this, but this is something that we need to understand, that eye contact is a sign of respect. It is our duty that in the class of 100, at least one time we observe everybody through eye contact, because that is a sign of respect. I tell you a very simple story which was quoted in the University of Hyderabad, that one girl launched a complaint on a teacher for not showing the respect through eye contact. Now this is something serious. When I read in my early career, I thought that this is something which is bullshit. But when we go deep into this subject, we come to know that students are also hungry for recognition and attention, and eye contact really help us to get that thing done. So develop the eye contact with your student. Be responsive. When somebody calls for it, when somebody asks the question, show enthusiasm. See, when somebody asks us a question, we definitely going to give the answer. As teachers, we do that, right? But in doing that, are we showing the enthusiasm? Are we really positively showing the response, right? That is most important thing, and that's sometimes missing. We are doing things, but we are not doing in a proper manner sometimes. Then your attitude should be non-threatening. That means they should not feel uncomfortable to come to you. You should be open, you should be respectful. That is the most important thing. You should not make assumptions on anybody, and you should not jump to conclusion quickly. So these are certain subset or sub-skills we require to become emotional intelligent. So now we have seen the skill set for 3 areas: subject expertise, pedagogical skill, and emotional intelligence. Combining these all 3 skill set, we become the effective teacher, and we can teach well. So it's a huge task. We need to work a lot, but we can do it, because half of the characteristics, or maybe 90% characteristics, we do have, and we are demonstrating. Only thing is that 1 or 2 are missing, or 1 or 2 are not worked well, that we need to develop. That's it. So this is required some work on your part, and I know that you can do it. Let's have the exercise. Let us observe this skill set, and after observing these skill set, let us try to understand that how many skills that we have or do we possess, and how many skills we are lacking. Let us make a detailed description of that, and after making the detailed description of that, let's try to make an amendment to our own self. Let commitment to our own self that we are going to develop. We are going to shine more on the skill that we possess, and we will definitely going to excel and learn the skills we are lacking. This is something that's a personal commitment we require for our personal effectiveness. So this is must. We need to understand that well-developed self-awareness is the first step for emotional intelligence. Let us find out that how do you relate to your student in the classroom. I have certain metaphors for you. Kindly observe those metaphors. Listen carefully and try to think that are you one of them or not. First, the law enforcer to the potential criminal. Second, carer to the vulnerable. Third, advocate to the jury. Fourth, salesperson to a potential buyer. Fifth, preacher to the sinful. Sixth, sheepdog to the ship. Seventh, website to the surfers. 8. Guru to the follower. 9. Gardener to the plant. And 10th, tour guide to the tourist. Now, these are certain metaphors for you. Kindly try to think that what exactly you relate to yourself with your students from these metaphors. You can have a best fitting metaphor for yourself from these, or you can develop your own metaphor also. Think how you relate to your students in the classroom is the first step of self-awareness. So this is a very important exercise. Try to do it. Life position is a very interesting concept from transaction analysis. Life position is nothing but a broad view you hold for yourself with the rest of the world. There are 4 types of life positions. I am okay, you are okay. I am okay, you are not okay. I am not okay, you are okay. And the last is I am not okay and you are also not okay. These 4 life positions give you a perspective to your life. Same situation will be seen very differently from these 4 perspectives. And please remember, your life position can be changed. Let us try to understand how these 4 life positions affect our own teaching. Let us say that in your classroom, if somebody asks you the question that how the content that you are teaching is related to me for my professional life. Now, if you hold the first life position, that is I am okay, you are okay, you are the person get on with. That means you will see this question as an interesting question and you will like to expand your content and the answer in a proper manner. But suppose you are of second time, that means I am okay but you are not okay. That means you are a kind of person who just want to get rid of this question and you think about the learner's inadequate grasp of the material. If you are a third kind of person, that is I am not okay and you are okay, you get away from it. That means you think this as a threat to your own authority and you try to give answer which may not be adequate. If you are from fourth category, that means I am not okay and you are also not okay, then here you see the whole session as futility and you will think that they don't understand me and I am not capable. So these are the 4 perspectives that you need to understand when you go in the classroom. And please remember, let us try to have the first life position for a lifetime, that I am okay, you are okay. Difficult to say, definitely. Difficult to say and hard to believe sometimes. But let us hold this bright and positive belief, life position that I am okay and you are okay. And let us go on with the teaching, learning as a joyful activity and see the difference that you have. We can change life position at any point of time. Eric Jansen has given a wonderful Fabin's theory about the state. He said that all the learning is state dependent. What is state? State is characterized by the collection of emotion that you are feeling. In learning state, you experience those feelings which are more conducive to learning. For example, valued, curious, safe, relaxed, connected and conducive and motivated to learning. Now, these feelings alone create a kind of atmosphere for you to learn better. Now, how to create this kind of condition? We need to focus first on physical factors of this particular state. Let us focus on 3 aspects of these physical factors. They are movement, physical environment and comfort. See, the movement is one of the most important thing. Many a time you find your students are dozing in the classroom. Not necessarily is the problem of your material and your style of teaching, but many a times they are not able to move from their seat. They are not able to move from that position for a long period of time, and that is why their body got inert, and because of that thing they start dozing. So movement is a very important aspect for learning. Next is physical environment. Physical environments means the settings of the environment, the pictures that we have in the classroom, the arrangement of chair, the color, the facility, the things in the classroom, the way all the things are arranged, that is called physical environment. Now this is something that we need to focus on. Traditional classrooms are set in such a way that all the students are able to see only one thing, and that is the back side of the person who is sitting ahead of him. Now this particular situation is not that much conducive to learning, so sitting change can definitely help in this condition. And the third is comfort. Now comfort is very important here. Comfort goes for safety also, security also, as well as some kind of a relief from the this facility also. Now what do you mean by that? See, you are teaching wonderfully in the classroom, you are doing wonderful work, but suppose the light is not proper, or suppose the electricity went off, what will happen? No matter how good you are, they are not able to learn from you properly in the extreme heat and the absence of electricity and fan roving. So point here is that this is something that we need to understand, that these three things we need to plan in the classroom. The first is movement, second is physical environment, and third is comfort. Not much we can do for physical environment and comfort because they are state fixed in our country, but at least some arrangement, some kind of a arrangement or some kind of changes we can bring to that also, or we can bring to the notice of the authority also, that this change can be conducive to learning to the learners. But movement is something that is in your hand. Let us have certain activity, or let us have certain period of time in the classroom which provided to move around, or which provided to change their place, or which provided to at least adjust themselves. This brings a wonderful change in them. One of the key aspect of your teaching is the usage of words. Please remember, your words are very important. The way you speak that word is more important than that. We are all living word life. What is word life here, right? Life depends upon words. Let us just observe these two things. Somebody who is very dear to you, when that person says, I love you, we feel good at heart. But the same person says, I hate you, we feel sad. Now, if you go to this particular structure grammatically, this has same subject, that is I, and same object, that is you. Only one verb, that is hate to love or love to hate, change, and the whole emotion gets changed. The whole personality gets affected. How this thing happens? Because word matters and word affects. So when we know the power of words, we should be deliberate and we should be very careful in using those words, especially in the beginning of the classroom. It is proven fact that when you go into classroom, the first 5 minutes is the most crucial for your whole session. The first 5 minutes set tone for yourself. The first 5 minutes create a kind of impression for your material, for your subject, for your own self, in such a way that the whole rest of the class goes by that first 5 minutes only. So the most important thing that we should do is to plan first 5 minutes enthusiastically. Second thing that you can do is to use the word carefully. Avoid negative words and try to go for positive words. Use joyful words. Go for positive tone. Joy, happiness, enthusiasm, success, optimism, proaction, right? Ethics, discipline. All these things can be imbibed in such a way when you use them properly. So please remember, try to avoid the word which are negative. and at least try to minimize the concept of don't. Don't use the word don't in the classroom, because the moment you say don't, students take it as a challenge and they try to do it somehow, right? So please don't use that particular word. Don't bang the bench. You can say avoid banging the bench. This is your bench. Don't make noise. We can say keep quiet or please be silent. So there is always choice for that. Please remember. Have a practice. Make a list that how many times you use don't, in which manner. Write those sentences. And for those sentences, make positive sentences without don't. And try to use that practice. It will be difficult earlier, but definitely gradually you will develop that particular skill and develop that particular thing in such a way that you can use it well. So don't use don't, and use positive words in your vocabulary, in your teaching. One of the key things that we are facing problems sometimes, and I think most of the time, is to addressing the need and expectations of learners. Whenever the student comes into classroom, whenever we start our first year, first batch, first day, students are always coming with 4 fears, and these 4 fears were given by Thomas Shepington. He said that students are always facing problems at the initial days with outcome fear, evaluation fear, interpersonal fear, and internal fear. Outcome fear means will I get something for which I have joined this course, or will it be a waste of time? Evaluation fear means will there be a test or will I fail? Interpersonal fear means will I be taken care well? Will the students or will the teacher will behave friendly with me? Or is there any potential for embarrassment? Internal fear is will I have to change myself for this course? Or will I need to change something in me to get this course done well? So these are 4 fears that every students are having, at least one of them, and these need to be addressed well. So whenever you start your lesson planning or whenever you start your semester planning, it's better that you address these 4 fears also in the first 1 or 2 sessions in such a way that they like to get relaxed by this outcome, evaluation, interpersonal and internal fear. When you reassure them that all these fears are invalid and you will enjoy the course, they will be ready to learn and your half burden of discipline is solved. One simple way you can acknowledge the learner's feeling and have influence on them by acknowledging their existence, by recognizing them properly. See, we all are attention and recognition hungry people. For getting recognition and for getting attention, we are able to do many things, and we are bound to do many things because there is an hunger that is inbuilt in us from the very childhood. When we were children, we were given a good cuddle, a kind of pampering, a kind of healthy physical experiences by our parents and the relatives. That habit has really created a kind of a hunger for physical stroke, and that physical stroke turned into recognition stroke, and that is why we are always hungry for recognition. In the semester end, if somebody asks you a question and if you say what is your name, that person might feel bad that what is this, am I exist in the classroom or not? By not knowing the person's name, even at the end of semester, who has studied from you throughout the semester in your classroom, you are insulting that particular student and you are denying his existence or her existence in the classroom, and which is sad part of teaching. So please remember to acknowledge their recognition and their existence. There is a way. There are 3 techniques that we can use to acknowledge their recognition as well as existence in the classroom. They are eye contact, referring to their name, and recalling the previous experiences with them. When you are using eye contact, you are respecting. We have discussed these things earlier. When you are using their name, we are providing them individual attention, and they really like a lot. Research has proven that even a mature student loves to hear their name from the teachers in the classroom, and they become quite readily and receivable with their learning. And the last and most important thing that we should do is to refer back the previous contribution by the student. If you say, as Smith says that thing, or as Savita says that thing, or as Bhavna said that thing, or as Sameer says that thing, when we go for that kind of a previous experience recall, these students who are recalled, they really feel that they are acknowledged, they really feel that they are recognized, and because of that, they love to participate in the classroom, they love to be lively in the classroom, and they are very much ready to accept your teaching. So use these three techniques. 1. Eye contact. 2. Using learner's name. And 3. Referring back to previous contribution by the students. Our curriculum has given a lot of importance to speaking. In teacher training, communication has a full course in which how to speak or how to transact the curriculum is taught. But not much emphasis was given on the art of listening. Listening is something which is the first step of EI, emotional intelligence. Because you are not able to understand anyone, you are not going to have a good social skill, you are not going to have empathy for others until and unless you start listening. Please remember, when you are in classroom and you are not listening to your students, students feel that they are invisible. They don't feel connected with the classroom. So listening is very important. Listening with undivided attention is one of the most important skill. It is one of the most sought after skill that people are looking for. In one of the surveys in Times of India, the one question was asked that which gift you would like to have from your lover on Valentine's Day, and the poll was raised, and the answer was undivided attention from their own relatives or their own would-bes and on their own lovers. So point here is that people are dying to get undivided attention. In the classroom also the same situation. Students also like to be heard. They also want them to be listened. But the problem is that we are so much occupied, and we are so much occupied with our own teaching. We are so much occupied with our own the race of completing the syllabus that many a times we are not giving them opportunity to speak, or whenever they start speaking, we jump to conclusion and we cut them short. Now this is something need to be avoided and need to be controlled. Please remember that. Listening is an art and we can develop it. Undivided attention is very important. But please remember, listening is something that we need to show to the learner also. So we need to use active listening strategies. That means when we are listening, we are going to nod, we are going to have eye contact, we are going to have some interjection like oh, yes, thank you. We are also going to observe silence when they are speaking. So these are certain protocols and certain active learning strategies that we are going to use in the classroom so that they feel that they are valued, they are listened. And see, the miracle happens in the classroom when you start listening to them. Empathy. Now, empathy is the ability to see the world as others able to see from their perspective. Empathy is something that we must develop as teachers, because students are facing problems. Youngsters always have this complaint that nobody understands them. And when we show that we understand them, they become quite receptive to our teaching and they open their door for learning. And that is what we need. They should be receptive to our teaching, and they should also open their own heart and mind for new ideas. So empathy is very important. Now how to develop empathy? The first key step of developing empathy is to listen well, listen actively. show that you are listening. Please remember, listening is only not enough. You have to show that you are listening, right? That is also most important thing. Try to control your own judgment on students. Try to experiment with your own perspectives, that is this what he or she is saying, or is it right or wrong? That we need to see. But just try to see their perspectives. Don't try to judge them. That is the most important thing in the training of empathy. The way to show that you are empathic and you are having the empathy for student, try to use the statement with empathy. In your teaching, say that I understand you from your own perspective. Repeat their thought, reflect on the thought, and articulate their thought the way they have narrated, and see, they will start trusting you with their own thought. At last, one of the most important things that we should remember, that to develop emotional intelligence, we also need to develop our body language. Body language is one of the key factors which really help you to show the empathy, to show your respect, to show the recognition to students in a proper manner. Body language is something that you should develop more consciously and put more effort into. The first thing that we need to understand, and that is smile. Learn to smile often in the classroom. Smile is a kind of affiliation that we provide to students in the classroom. It lightens the atmosphere, release the stress, and create mood for learning. So learn to smile. Smile often, but remember, use your own common sense also in smiling. That is the most important thing. Next is use your 3V in alignment. What is 3V? Verbal, vocal, and visual. When all these three things are in alignment, you have wonderful communication. So whatever you speak, your tone, your body language should support that thing. And please remember that and try to use that in a proper manner. That will also enhance your own reputation among the students. Next thing that you focus is on facial expressions. Your expressions are one of the key factors and the asset also to you. 95% time in the classroom, students observe your face and the expressions on them are very important. So please remember that always have the proper expression on your face. Many a times we have seen that students are really making fun of teachers. Why? Because teachers in the flow gets flowed, and because of that thing he forgot that what kind of expressions or what kind of gestures he is having, because he was too much in flow of teaching. So try to be conscious when you are in the classroom regarding your facial expression as well as your gestures. That are most important thing. Next is your hand, your gestures. See, hands are magical really. The way you can communicate with the hand is so effective. So try to use your hand more often in the classroom. Try to direct your communication with the help of your hands. Use them properly, not aggressively but properly. Use them well. Next thing is your appearance. Decency is something that every student is looking for from the teacher. So your appearance also matters a lot. It calls for grooming, and for grooming I think you might met your teacher, do not look any advice for. So it is the personal concept we should work on its own. Lastly, thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for listening to me for such a long period. I hope that you have got something from this, and I hope these things will be useful to you. For further detail, I have given my email ID as well as my blog address in this video. Thank you and have a nice time ahead.